What's up, lore masters? Today we'll be delving into a fan theory that I think holds some merit, but ultimately probably falls flat on its face. Let's just get into it. When we look at the original series compared to that of Star Trek Discovery, the technology is, to be mild, out of date. The policies are antiquated and captains are perverts. Not only that, but it really seems that some of the events of the last decade aren't even remembered by most. Apparently, a massive and devastating war isn't even discussed. I mean, you could state that this is just a continuity gaffe, but these are the Discovery writers, the best of the best. Getting into the canon, during the 23rd century, 2255 specifically, the technology of the United Federation of Planets was amazing. Communications so advanced that they aren't on screen, but the person appears to be right in front of you. I mean, these images are able to be projected within the ready room or on the bridge. The other person is able to move around the entire room as you talked with them. Just amazing. You also have the precursor to replicator technology, the progenitor of the holodeck technology, phaser and shield technology that appears to be advanced above anything we saw in the 22nd century and hell, even in the late 23rd century. There was also progressive attitudes during this time, including the advancement of women in Starfleet. Prisoners of war who committed treason and started a war were still allowed to work on the bridge of the most important ship in the fleet. And, I mean, the Vulcans can even act completely against their nature, randomly firing on alien species they have no idea how to interact with. It was a golden age, basically. And then, the Federation was thrust into a horrific war that would devastate its infrastructure. It caused massive casualties with the loss of almost the entirety of Federation space. The Klingon invaders rarely left any prisoners, and so a loss of technology and scientists would occur. Fuel for fleets ran dry as major dilithium mines were captured, and only by pure plot convenience would the United Federation of Planets win. And that was only because the Klingons backed off. Can you imagine what this would do to the psyche of the Federation? A large majority of Starfleet was gone. Thousands to tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of officers, all dead. And now, for the officers left, Starfleet and the Federation would have to pick up the pieces. We know that the Constitution-class ship had existed at this point, and from what we can tell was designed similar to that of other vessels, including the Walker and Crossfield classes. However, as time went on, refits would require that the starships go through moderate changes. The glass windows being replaced with view screens, and consoles that looked kind of like LCD interfaces would be replaced with buttons and knobs. Shields and weapons that would instantly be charged or activated would now take time as they warmed up. From an outside appearance, it would seem like Starfleet was a shell of what it had been. And honestly, I could see this happening due to one of two reasons. The first is the destruction of the infrastructure and loss of life. It would mean that Starfleet would not instantly be able to rebuild with the advanced technology that it had had before. Replicators didn't exist at this time, so the need for ships quickly to be rebuilt and stand against the Klingon and Romulan threat would mean that the lowest common denominator would be accepted. This would yield a devolution of technology and a slowing of progress. It would also indicate that the Federation would start at a disadvantage against the other powers. An alternative is that the needs of what was to come would be paramount. Thus, instead of LCDs and fancy systems, you would see knobs and other technology that looked less than what it was, just so that they could make it quickly and get it onto the ships. Either way, this and what had happened before would show a change in attitude of the Federation and Starfleet. It would begin to take hold of a sort of a misogynistic view. Women, for whatever reason, while still being allowed to serve and gain rank and even have miniskirts, would not be allowed to be captain anymore. Additionally, sexual harassment, especially from that of the CO, would be permissible. And while it's not the most ideal explanation, it's honestly the only way to explain the degradation of what we see in Discovery to that of the original series. Now, there are some holes in my theory. The first being that generally when you have a war, you see an advancement in technology across the board, not a loss. Generally, both sides will find bigger and better ways of killing each other. Additionally, after the war, it's not like all of this information was lost to the ravages of time. I mean, the databases of the Federation would still exist. So if this is what occurred, it makes more sense that the Federation would be building either on the cheap or changed focus on how they made the technology. They'd be more concerned about fighting the Klingons than having fancy layouts, LCDs, and the ability to see a hologram in front of you. Though, it would make more sense that they would have some form of mixture of the two, which we simply don't see in the original series. Again, it's highly unlikely that this is what occurred, but I'm curious on your thoughts. What do you think happened? Let me know in the comments below. Hey guys, thanks so much for watching. This entire channel is made possible by fans like you. Please consider becoming a patron to ensure that you receive daily videos. Check me out at patreon.com/Lore Reloaded. Don't forget to rate, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next Lore Reloaded.